You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey folks, welcome to the Beans and Dice channel, where we have a podcast about how we game. Mostly it's Thursday nights where we talk about board gaming, but tonight we're having our little special event tonight. A bunch of guests coming in to talk Blood Bowl. We've done this before. We're doing it again, where we're going to record a Florida Blood Bowl podcast, including some live call-in show segments. So I'm going to be your host and engineer for the evening and your smooth operator taking your phone calls. And our guests, introduce yourself.
James Left, a.k.a. Beard Jones.
Florida man.
Enough said.
And I'm Ben, or over the course of the World Cup, also Nornbreeder.
Big Benny K.
Gentlemen. Thank you for joining us and working with me. A little collaboration between Beans and Dice and some Florida Blood Bowl. I always appreciate y'all bringing me in, and I love to help out the community. The Florida Blood Bowl community is amazing. So the show is yours. Talk to your folks at home. Let them know what's going on.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we just, one of the biggest pieces of news, obviously, that if you have been on social media at all, you have seen people spamming photos upon photos of what was going on at the World Cup. And a few of us Florida folk were lucky enough to make it over to Alicante, Spain, to party with the 2,300 people that came out to play in the World Cup. And we just we wanted to give a little bit of a rundown because, you see so much online and you see so many different things, and there's not a lot of coherency to the story. So we were going to give a little bit of our experience, and that's why we have Florida Man with us today. He was the highest ranking member of the Florida team at the end when everything shook out. We did not all play our best, I don't think, but we did have a lot of fun. So, but yeah. So I didn't know if you
wanted
wanted
yourself short there, Ben. What did you finished not too far behind him, and you were playing halflings, so you did pretty well.
Yeah. I was having a good time. I got a few really good games that I should have lost, but tied, and that was
That's a stunty win.
That was a stunty win to me. I was like, dude, I'm drawing a tie. It's just up to the rest of the team to get their win in. And then, sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't. We had an interesting event, and I loved all the people that we played against. A lot of interesting teams, a lot of we were lucky. I say this, with obviously I would have loved and we've been relieved to play an American team at some point, but we didn't end up playing any American teams. We ended up playing all European teams, which, is kind of nice because you don't want to go all the way to, Spain to end up playing somebody that you might see at a tournament locally or anything like that. But let me see
How many
if
American teams were there?
how many American. Well, I think there was 80 Americans that came.
Yeah,
Something
there
like
was
that.
80. So 14 teams.
That's pretty good. That's
How
a big
many
jump
total
from last year.
coaches?
It was around
20.
2,200 and something high, around 2,300.
That's a very small percentage of U.S. participants.
We were number 6 represented nationally, which is pretty good for Europe.
Yeah. And that number that they said was only the people that played. And, when you consider there were tons of volunteers, the ref group, the people that put the tournament on, a bunch of the different vendors and stuff, it was nuts, the amount of people that were there.
We had a referee. I can't remember his full name now because he has a really long name, but he was Morgan Thorg. The guy stood like 6'6". He had the mohawk. It was incredible. What a guy too.
Blood Bowl is my game. So, yeah, if you want to do a rundown, just because we'll start out with, our trip, we'll leave a little bit of our personal stuff out of it. We did get there a few days early so that we could go do some tourist stuff. which was awesome, by the way. I think I do recommend if anybody goes to Alicante, make sure you hit up the castle, the museums. We got to see the terracotta soldiers. They were on loan from another place at the archaeological museum and a couple other things. But I know people are here for Blood Bowl. So they had a meetup the night before the event. And that was kind of just like a meet and greet. And if I remember correctly, it was advertised that there was going to be some alcohol there. But I'm not totally sure. I vaguely remember that. But there was not any alcohol there. So we showed up and it was kind of one of those things where we kind of didn't really know what we were supposed to do. They came and addressed us and just kind of let us know that they were happy to have us. And they kind of let us know a little bit about what they were doing. The director of tourism from Alicante came out to talk to us a little bit, and she thanked us for being there, which I think was hilarious because my wife, she used to work for tourism here in our county, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be totally the thing that she gets stuck doing, going out there talking to a bunch of sweaty Blood Bowl players that are ready to, tear up the town and get drunk everywhere. But it was actually really nice. They really did want us there, and it felt good. The Alicante, the little swag pack that they gave us had some Alicante stuff in it. They gave us like a pen and a lanyard and a hat and some of their promo materials. But that was a nice little opportunity for us to get our yayas out a little bit and say hi to everybody, because the first thing you do, you show up there and you want to say, oh, hey, look at this guy, hi, hey, what's going on? And I think that kind of saved us a little bit of that the first day of the tournament. So at the very least, it kind of kept things flowing a little bit the next day.
Speaking of the swag pack, that alone was worth the cost of admission. I mean, so much cool stuff in there. It was incredible. And like Ben was saying, when we got to the event the night before and the event itself, it was just a who's who of Blood Bowl celebrities, which was really great to see. Like, you got to meet all your favorite Blood Bowlers. I wish I would have brought an autograph book. It was really cool.
We were playing a game the day before where when we were out doing tourist stuff, we were like, I bet we can approach any group of, like, if they're guys in their, between 20 and 50, and there's by themselves, and there's a group of 4 or 5 of them, I bet they're Blood Bowl guys. And we would just go up and approach random groups, and we're like, Blood Bowl? And they'd be like, yeah. So we were littering the city with our shenanigans.
The day before, you'd see groups of 6 guys walking together. You'd be like, Blood Bowl team. Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah,
and that's kind of what I don't get as much when I go to Blood Bowl events. Like, when I go to a con, like a board gaming con, there's 3,500 other people, right? For example, here in Orlando, you can go out to eat and you see your people, right? You can be at the Walgreens and you see your people. So it's cool that in the Blood Bowl scheme of it, normally what we see, 35 to 60 coaches at an event. So it's not like you're going to see them around the town. For you to be able to go around town and see them in all the places that you're in, and kind of look across the room at them and be like, we're the same people, right? You're my people, right? And they like nod, and like that. I love that feeling, that connection. You're just doing like normal stuff, like just getting like waters for the hotel room, and you're like, Blood Bowl? Yes, Blood Bowl. And then you're like talking about Blood Bowl. It's so cool.
Yeah. Contrary to popular thought, most Blood Bowlers are relatively normal. So
yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah, they're, I think we even had like a burger and a beer with K Forge right before the event. Mm-hmm. The day before, we ran into him. We're like, what do you just come eat lunch with us. We're going to get a burger. So yeah, it's just kind of a lot of fun. You run into all sorts of crazy people, and everybody wanted to get there a day early, and then they probably had some time to mull around. My flight, I'm glad I went a few days early, because I ended up getting delayed by like 8 hours or so and missed my connecting flight and all that kind of stuff. So always go early if you're going to travel.
Yeah. That's my advice to people too, having been to 2 of these now, is that I've done both staying after and going before, and it is by far preferable to go before. If you get sick on the plane, you have time to recover. You have time to adjust the time zones. You get familiar with the area. You can enjoy yourself before you get depressed from losing all your games. It's just much better generally to go beforehand. And, especially if you're matching with everybody else at the tournament, because if you show up the day beforehand and everybody has already been there a week and then they leave the day after, it's really depressing at that point because all your friends are gone. So,
yeah. So, they really pulled it out, the Alicante team. And I can't say enough good things about it. There were some moments of tension in the beginning. I think that one of the things was the transportation. I think people were a little bit worried. They were running buses to pick people up. And apparently everything went well with the buses. But I guess that they kind of waited to send the schedule out till after the meet and greet. So some people were kind of freaking, they're like, what's going on? We're only like 16 hours away from the event. But that was kind of just a part of the culture over there. I think a lot of, everything moved a little bit slower. There were some gaps in communication, but that was just because sometimes things just didn't need to be communicated in the same way. But we went out there first thing in the morning. They got us in. Apparently, the check-in was pretty easy. They just kind of scanned our little QR code that we had on our phone. They had the grab bags ready to go. They just hand you the grab bag and send you off to wherever you're going to be. The matches were set up, I think, a couple days in advance, which was kind of interesting because you could tell who you were going to be playing a few days in advance. So we could set our stuff up at a table and all that. But they had all the vendors over there, and I know Florida Man was running over to see the different vendors. A lot of cool stuff, and we'll talk a little bit about those vendors as well. And really happy to see some of the people that came out. But people that you would expect, like Charlie Victor and the Nemen miniatures that made the team, that the Minotaur that we all got. But then there was other people there that I was really happy that P. Ramos was there with Goblin Guild, and I got to meet him. And as a little bit of an amateur sculptor myself, that was really cool to see, someone who has been so prolific with his sculpting. And there were others as well that we don't have teams of here in the United States. I actually ended up giving them all zines. I was like, hey, we're gonna have tournaments and stuff throughout the year, and we'll always be looking for cool pieces of equipment and cool pieces of swag to give away. So my son's trying to get in, and this kind of stuff we don't have in Florida, in United States that much. It's not as popular here, so. Hopefully we'll make some connections with those vendors in the near future, and we'll see some new teams. One of my favorite things was somebody was doing 15 millimeter. It was 15 millimeter dungeon hole, which I thought was such a cool idea. And I have some pictures somewhere, and I'll have to show them later on. But I've been wanting to do 15 millimeter Blood Bowl for a really long time, and it seems like Dungeon Bowl is the way to do it because you just have this tiny little area and I don't know. It was really cool. So
No, I'm down for that. I've always loved finding 15 millimeter versions of many war games, like Bolt Action, condensing it down to 15 millimeter. It's just something about remembering one of my first times going to a game shop, and on the table was Epic, Games Workshop's Epic 40K, and that hooked me. There's something about that smaller scale is amazing. I remember there was somebody that was putting out fantasy football in 15 millimeter for a while there, but then they kind of fell off the face of the earth. I don't know if they got a cease and desist from Games Workshop. No,
it's weird. I've been wanting to do a tournament in 15 millimeter, and it's the problem would be that everyone would have to 3D print teams or use meeples or something.
Don't tell James.
Meeples just happen to be the perfect scale, which is. But it would be. It would be hard.
I printed out my own sevens board on 8.5 by 11 piece of wood, and laser cut out silhouettes of orcs and humans, and made two little sevens teams in 15 mil.
I
Chris,
messaged
I
you
think you
about
reached
that.
out to me
Yeah.
about that. Yeah. And I'll throw you a
that would
set,
be
bro.
perfect.
You can grab one of my prototype sets.
Okay.
We
It was
should-
perfect.
We should definitely do a tournament like that sometime then, and just have like some teams available. I just think it would be fun because you could do it, on a very small scale. I don't know.
It was great for practicing on the airplane against your teammates.
Yeah.
Make it go fast. Yeah.
So funny side note before we go on is I took the train from, and I think you guys took the train home, right?
We did.
The Bright Line is awesome, and I think for future tournaments, if we do something in Miami or if we do something further down south where it's kind of a pain to drive that far, the train is awesome. And they even have a couple of different seats on them that have tables, between the two of them. So you get on that train, play a game of Blood Bowl with your friends that came with you. And by the time you're done, you'll be in Miami. It's about a 2.5, 3 hour ride from Orlando, which just blows my mind. So something to consider in the future for those that, want to host tournaments down south. It gets us a little bit further that direction.
Miami's
Do you wanna
about to
start
start
out
their
with the
Blood Bowl league
Finns?
up again.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to tell them a little bit about the Finns? That was our first opponent, and that's where my memory goes a little blurry because.
So a couple days before the tournament started, we got our matches. For the months leading up to the tournament, I'd been telling all the guys, look, if there's one group of people we got to hang out with while we're there, it's these Finns. They are the absolute best people to hang out with. And then when we got our draw and we matched up against the Ron Moss fan club, for those of you who don't know, Ron Moss is apparently a soap opera star from like the 90s. I had no idea who he was, but he was very popular in Finland, kind of like their David Hasselhoff. And so they show up in these fanny packs and cut off jean jackets with Ron Moss's face on the back. And it was hilarious.
I'm
These are all
Googling Ron Moss right now.
These are all people that Josh and I had met the year prior in Malta and made really good friends with, including Ben's matchup, Beer, who might be the most famous Scandinavian in Blood Bowl. Too much to explain here. But we got matched up. My match wasn't favorable in the races. I was playing Chaos Dwarves. I got Dwarves with a Death Roller and a bribe. That was horrendous. Oh, and on the kickoff, he gets another bribe. So, yay. But I had a favorable matchup in who I was playing, which was Tonal. Just an incredible guy, blondest fellow you'll ever meet, but super nice. And we had a great time. We ended up did we get swept that match? Was it 5 losses and a draw?
I ended up winning my match.
Oh, you won. Okay. So the rest of us got embarrassed. They ended up doing really well. I think the highest table they got was 9 out of 180, 190.
Yeah, they were doing very well. I love their, they did jean cutoff jacket things, like little vests with the guy's face on it.
I was this close to asking to trade, but then I was like, I'm never going to wear that.
No, it was a little much, but yeah. And then they gave out the dice with his face on them, and it was just so hilarious. And I wanted to meet Beer because I heard good things about him, and he's apparently. Well, let me just say this: we played a match, and I had 5 beers, and he had, I think, like 8, and he was drinking like. This is the first thing in the morning, So like
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, all right, dude, I can't play another, 3 opponents like you, I'll be dead. So
Beer, they summoned him out of the woods of Finland with a flute, and he comes down once a year to play a Blood Bowl tournament and drink beer. He's just this massive Scandinavian who just, oh my God.
Yeah.
He can drink anything.
But it was a great way to start the tournament because you always get that first day jitters, where, we hadn't practiced or anything. And we kept talking about that throughout the week. We're like, oh, somebody should have brought a pitch along so we could have practiced a game or two at night. And it's like, at the end of the day, we never had time for that. We're busy, playing out in Spain. So, but yeah, that was a great way to start it because it was some familiar, friendly faces, even if they did kind of give us a good beating.
Yeah.
And then who was our next opponent? That was.
I feel like I should know. God. Oh yeah, we played a conglomeration of coaches from England, France, Denmark, I think, and the Netherlands. Definitely the Netherlands. And I had a guy whose NAF number is 69. That was my match.
Nice.
Yeah. But it was the first of 3 Chaos Pack matches I had during the tournament. You saw the race mixture, and it was like a third Dark Elves and Skaven. I was like, oh yeah, I got this. Can't wait. And I ended up getting 1 Skaven coach the entire time, 3 Chaos Pack. That one went well. We won that one. We won pretty.
And
handily,
I did not.
I remember.
I went against the guy. My guy's name was Candlejack, and I thought that was funny because I got the reference. It was a Freakazoid reference, and he just kicked my caboose every which way but loose. I lost a tree in the first turn. I think he used claws to shred my tree to bits. And
he was playing Necro.
And then he ended up killing Griff like 3-4 turns in, or knocked him out, and then he never came back.
See, I've heard his name prior to this tournament, so when I saw that you were matched against him, I was like, I know of him. I've heard that name.
And he was good. I mean, I'm not. I just ended up getting wrecked early and often, and then I couldn't put up much of a fight. But he was a great guy to play against. They all had Hawaiian shirts as their what do you call it? Their
uniform,
which was a good idea. I'd like to do that in the future.
That was Pat's idea. I shot it down consistently. He wanted to do that so bad, and I was like, nah, dude. But seeing it in practice, I'm like, okay, not bad. Our third match was against an Italian team, and that one was, out of all 9 matches, my most heartbreaking because I was playing against another Chaos Pack team, so it was two in one day, and I had been dominating this team the entire time, purposely not scoring. Like the scoreboard it ended up being 1-1 as a draw. So it doesn't sound like I'm telling the truth here. No, I was dominating. I was purposely not scoring. And then at the end on turn 16, he had an ogre, a goblin, and like 5 other things left. I'd been killing this team. And then I put 3 guys on the ogre. And what does he get? Activates 6 to throw, 5 to land. Run in, go for it, touchdown. I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. You've got to be. But nice coach, really nice team from Italy, and that finished my day 1.
I loved playing them. My opponent was dwarves, which I was terrified, right? I'm like, I'm just going to get wrecked. I got wrecked last game. I'm going to get wrecked this game. Nice kid. He was 17 years old. His dad was on the team as well, and he was coming to play with him. So that kind of touched my heart, and I was like, oh, it's so cool. The father-son playing games together. I ended up beating him. He was playing really well, and at the end, we kind of, he went over some stuff. He's like, did I screw anything up? I'm like, dude, the only thing you screwed up was your dice rolls were bad. You, by all means, he was positioning well, and I was getting out of there. But really nice kid. I'm like, dude, keep playing with your dad. And that was awesome just to kind of see some of that. So
my favorite match was I loved all the people. Like you said earlier, Ben, you mentioned like all of our opponents were great. We played people from a whole French team. We played 2 Spanish teams, maybe 3. We played an Italian team, a mixture, a Finnish team, the Swedes. We played a Swedish team. Lots of really cool, nice people. But my favorite match was the last one because sangrias were €1 a piece. And instead of regular gifts, they were just buying everybody drinks. And I played a Frenchman named Kirian, can't remember his last name, but he spoke only French and Spanish. And I was speaking Spanish. So this Frenchman and American speaking Spanish at the table. And he was 3 sheets. And man, was that fun. At one point, I threw a pass with a Chaos Dwarf Bull Centaur to another Bull Centaur and scored a touchdown. And I embarrassed our table a little bit because I stood up and started yelling, "You like that?" I was channeling, what's his name from the Vikings? You probably know Carlos. You know football better than I do.
No. Baseball's my sport.
Okay.
But if you're saying Vikings, are we talking Randy Moss?
No, the quarterback there right now. What's his name?
Okay, yeah, no idea.
Kirk Cousins. I channeled Kirk Cousins. Yeah, anyway, sorry.
There we go. We got there.
But yeah, there was some great. I think the second day we played 2 Spanish teams and the Czechoslovakians, right?
Yes.
And we ended up trading. I traded a jersey with the team Czech Republic, with Co-Wolf. He was not my opponent, but I don't think my opponents would have. Me and my opponent weren't the same size, so me and Co-Wolf were. So, but those guys were awesome. Both the Spanish teams were awesome. My first opponent of the day didn't speak English, which I thought was going to be, or very minimal English, which I thought was going to be kind of an issue. But he and we communicated really well through the game. It's just kind of where you both know the rules of the game. The language doesn't matter all that much, which was really cool. And then my last opponent of the day was another guy from, I forget what that island was that they're from now.
Majorca? Majorca,
yeah. And those guys were really cool, and I bonded with my guy over stories of kids and, he had a kid and I have a kid, whatever. And we're talking about that kind of stuff. And we're talking about just life and everything. And, at that time too, we all had a few drinks in us. So everything in the universe kind of made just a little bit more sense, So, but a great second day. It just goes by as a blur, those days go by as a blur. And then, like you said, the last day, I can't remember now. It was
the Swedes. I think we started with the Swedes. We then played a Spanish team, and we finished against the French.
Yes. So, and once again, all great opponents on that day as well. Lots of fun. That was my main thing. I wanted to go. I didn't really care how well I did. I just wanted to meet people, talk to people. I always like to get up on the higher tables because I feel like you meet the more prevalent blood bowlers that way. Maybe that's not not always a fair. So that was my motivation, for us doing well, is so that we could meet some cooler people up. Not that there aren't cool people at the low tables as well.
We know what you mean.
But I also feel like, that's where the newer players were. And there were a lot of new players because the Spanish really brought out some people. Funny enough, they brought out a kid team. I can't remember how the kids were.
They're from Malta.
They're from Malta. Oh, they were Malta.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Maltese flew out a team of all teenagers. They called them the Maltines.
It was hilarious. They're like young kids, and they're all playing, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. They're getting a pretty cool experience, and I don't know. It was interesting. Very, very cool stuff. The only thing that I think that some of us were critical of was the food. They ended up doing a pieta the first day, Spanish omelet the second day, and a ham sandwich the third day. And they kind of did it. They did it in a way that there was a huge line. And I think that kind of was rough for some of us because it was already hot. And I'm convinced that they didn't understand 100% this was not the organizers, but the convention center didn't understand how to regulate the AC because the first day was hot. And then the second day was cooler. And the third day was great, perfect. If they had kept it like that the whole time, they finally got it right. But that first day, waiting in line outside for food was a little bit killer.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing I heard from other people. And I think that in theory, the way they had it set up should have worked. But for whatever reason, lack of volunteers at that one location or pre-prep, I don't know. But for whatever reason, it didn't go as well as it probably should have. But, out of all things considered, it was okay.
Yeah. And they didn't, the secret was you could go back and get more at the end once they were ready to,
right?
Which I did. I went back and got food at the end of both days. Just trying to get rid of it. So
you could just wait until the end, till the line dissipated, but then you were kind of shoveling it in. The nice thing about it is even though the lines did take long, I never felt rushed. That I knew they were not going to start the next round until everybody had eaten. So there was nothing in me, which I'm a very angsty person when it comes to timing. And normally if the same thing had happened in America, I'd be freaking out. Are they going to start without me? Am I going to be able to eat? Why didn't they plan for this? Blah, blah, blah. But there, no anxiety about it whatsoever. I was like, it's fine. It's chill. Mañana. Don't worry about it.
They kept really good pace, surprisingly, and they even built in some time between rounds for socializing and stuff,
Yep.
which didn't seem like a good idea in the like in forethought, but like as experiencing it, it was great because we were running around trading dice, we were running around to the vendors. It was never like you're just sitting there bored. There
Well,
was always
You guys
something.
were also playing 3 rounds per day,
And the
which makes
matches,
a big
Yeah.
difference.
so the matches you would expect when you have that many coaches in one area that it would be running behind. And I think they took that into consideration. And the good news is that every day we'd get there at like 8 or something, start by 9:30, somewhere in there. But we'd be out of there by 9. And honestly, that's not much later than a regular 30, 40, 50 person tournament here. Like, and running an hour behind schedule. I mean, okay, when you have that many people, yeah, it was fine.
And like I said, you're filling your time. You're not just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. You're talking to people, you're buying stuff, you're looking at, exhibits. And they had some cool exhibits there too. They had a lightsaber fighting exhibit where you could go and fight. I didn't do any of these, but
No.
if you were inclined to do these, you could go fight with lightsabers. And then they also had like some barbarian guys. I don't know what they were, but they had like axes, and they were all dressed in furs and stuff, and they were doing like reenactments and stuff. And then they had a board game company come out one day as well and do some demos. So if you were inclined to spend your time doing one of those things in between matches, there was plenty of time to do that as well. So, and I liked one of the things they did. At one point, they just said, "Hey, you need to end your match, or you need to put your stuff in, or we're going to just put you into zeros." I heard that over the loudspeaker at one point, and I don't know. It was like this first day. It was like the second match or something, or I don't remember. Somebody was lagging behind, but I don't know if they ever did put in zeros or not. But they threatened it, and after that, everybody seemed to be on time. So, which I appreciate. It's hard to. You don't want to be too stern with that, but at the same time, you got to keep the event moving. You can't be waiting.
The rules definitely threaten that. And then they, when it came to the time to end the round, they had the clock ticking down, and every time the clock ticked down, a third of the tables were still going. And so at that point, you could decide to be upset, like, well, why do they get more time? That's not fair. Or you could decide to just be like, you know what, whatever, who cares? It's just a game. And I ended up taking the second route, which is normally not my way to go. And I really enjoyed myself. I was fine with that. And nothing seemed to drag because of it. It was really nice having that relaxed atmosphere for it. I know that I was stressed about how we were going to get the results in, and I was pleasantly surprised at how easy it was.
Even Eric could do it.
How did you get the results in?
Well, they had on the website, if you signed into the website, the team captain could go to each round through the menu, and then from there it would allow him to put in his scores. And I don't think you had to talk to the other team captain to match up, but it probably would have given you an error if there was like a change where you guys weren't the same. So the team captains would just meet up for 2 minutes at the end and just be like, okay, this was a win, 3-0, 5 casualties. This was a win. And then they'd hit submit. It was done. Already in. The computer would automatically tabulate who you're going to play next, and done.
Yeah, it was a good system. They were pretty efficient with that. My worry was that if we lost Wi-Fi or if we lost, internet or whatever, but we never did, so that was good. But that kept it moving. That was really nice. And then they also had the Discord channel.
I wanted to touch on the schedule that they did have. Right, it was sounded counterintuitive to allow time for the mingling, but it sounds like they really prioritized the vendors that were there. Right? Had they not allowed that time, imagine all the vendors that took the energy and money to show up, and y'all were just back-to-back gaming the whole day with no time in between. So, I mean, I think you're right. Afterwards, it kind of made sense, and as you were describing it, it does make sense that for those that are creating tournament events, if you want to bring in vendors, you have to allow capacity for vendors to be seen, not just at the beginning, at the end.
I had not considered that. That makes sense. I know when I first got there, I almost missed out on my goodie bag, Carlos, because I knew that Charlie Victor was going to just be completely overrun with people. And I was like, I am not going to let him run out of guard bands. I'm going to get those damn guard bands before everybody else does. So we get through the door, and I ran right past the rest of the line straight to Charlie Victor. And I was still grabbing over people's arms, just filling my hands. And I'm not proud of myself, but I fought my way to the front of the line, and I like kind of, gently shoved people aside and threw my bands right in front of the guy.
Stupid
he took me like third, and I was like, yes, got it.
Yeah, they had some of the vendors had some exclusive World Cup stuff. I'm not a big. There was nothing I needed. They had Green Stuff World had an exclusive miniature if you bought so much of their product, which, funny enough, like 2 weeks before that, I had put in an order for some crap from them, and I was like, "Jeez, I'm not going to buy more stuff I don't need." I did buy one of the few things I bought was a little goblin mascot guy from Goblin Guild, sculpted by P. Ramos, just because I was like, they only do them at the events, but they had exclusive dice, and other places had exclusive deals and all sorts of cool stuff. So if you were looking to buy some really cool stuff, and unfortunately, I'm already seeing some stuff on eBay. I'm kind of an eBay. I don't really buy a lot on there, but I like to just kind of peruse it. But I'm already seeing like tokens and dice and stuff from the event. People are trying to sell it off for super high prices. But if that's your thing, go to those booths and buy up whatever you can, because that stuff is desirable to people.
Also, I posted in the chat, I hope people don't go on eBay and start buying that stuff, because the World Cup website has restocked their store. So the only thing you really can't get, I think, are the pitches. So the tokens, the patches, the pins, all that stuff, you could get it from their web store. So you guys should check that out.
Oh, man.
For those who didn't go.
For the entrance, the fact that we got a pitch that's specific to the World Cup, a metal coin, a ball marker, a turn marker, and a reroll marker, a miniature. What else did we get? A patch. So a dice. So
that
much
pitch
stuff.
Came with your entry fee?
Yeah, the pitch was folded up in the bag. We got the pitch for free with the entry fee.
Are you talking about
neoprene? What was that?
So this is
what was
cool
that pitch made of?
It's I don't know if it's neoprene. It doesn't have the stitch edges like Maelstrom does, but it's really cool.
Oh yeah, that's a type of neoprene.
Yeah, it's very cool.
But it's not the thick. It's the thinnest. But yeah, it looks really nice, man. The quality is fantastic.
It's almost like
mouse
a
pad
piece
material.
Like, what do they do? Some of those games that put down like a mat that you play over, like terrain, that you would put over it. It's almost kind of like that. Yeah,
or Magic or Marvel Champions, like the play pads.
Yeah. So we'll bring it out to some of the the next tournaments. I'll bring it out with me just to kind of.
Oh yeah.
The only issue is the pitches, or the what do you call it? Are on one side. The dugouts are both on the same side.
Yep.
So it's like, but
there's one thing I wanted to share with you guys that was my favorite part, I think, of the whole tournament, and that's that I brought a Florida flag with me, and we had every one of our opponents and some of the Blood Bowl celebs sign it, and I absolutely love this thing. It's just covered in signatures of the who's who. Everybody from who we traded jerseys to my teammates, to everybody we played against, then the celebs like Thor and whatever else. But yeah, just and K-Fog, everybody. So really cool.
You got to bring that to some Florida events and definitely Chaos Cup.
Yep.
Ben, did you get the stunty one signed by some stunty coaches?
Yeah, they did a little halfling meetup.
I saw that.
And so I got some people to sign it, and not everybody. It was kind of rough to get people organized at something like this, but yeah, I'm going to bring that back and return that to you so that you can continue the tradition at Chaos Cup and all that good stuff. So,
did you guys see our American team photo?
Yeah, I missed that.
Like,
Ben missed it, unfortunately.
Americans?
Yeah, they called all the Americans up. Well, the PA system you couldn't really hear super well.
I think Nate Beam got dropped from that, and he was a little, passive.
If you have a computer in front of you, you can pull it up and share screen. There's a feature on this user interface that we're in where you can present, and I can add it to the screen. So if there's anything I want to share,
I did see it.
Definitely
Yeah.
pull it up.
Yeah, there's a picture of all the American coaches. Only 3 of us from the team were able to make it because it was hard to hear in there. And then between accents and the loudness and everything, it was tough. But we ended up.
Those are rough.
Hey,
you're telling me.
Hey, I'm just saying it like it is. So,
it was the guy that was talking was he had a very strong accent that I mean, it wasn't like it was incomprehensible, but when you added the echo to it and you added
PA, the den of the location.
When you add the alcohol to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was seeing double.
What?
I was hearing double too, I guess. So.
Also, Josh and I and Ben stood at the front of the initial meetup too. So if you're looking at those photos from the position of the organizers, we're like right there.
I saw that picture. Yeah.
It's like I'm getting in this.
Something about a Florida coach almost killed a drone with a hat. I saw.
Yeah, it made a meme.
Story about that.
So So at the initial meetup, somebody, I don't know who, was flying a drone, a small one, above all the people. And it wasn't like that annoying or anything like that. It was low, but the organizers came on and they said drones are not allowed in this area. You can't video record this. Whoever's got the drone, just take it away now. Everything's fine. So what do you think happened? The drone just stood where it was and didn't move. So then they came all together like 5 minutes later and they're like, look, we're not starting the event until this drone leaves. So whoever has it, be a mensch and get that drone out of here. Nope, just still going to hang out and take whatever pictures it wanted. So on the third go or whatever, people started to get a little like, get sort of thing, right? And a certain Florida coach, who will remain nameless, went to like the center of the crowd with their hat and threw this gator hat at the thing. And so if you're looking from the front, like where I was at, all you saw was this drone like 30 feet above people's heads. And then this flying gator goes up towards it. And the crowd was like, oh, when it missed. Yeah.
We don't see that.
Yeah, they eventually got the guy to take it down. I was still curious as to who it was. It wasn't a Blood Bowl person, I don't think, because I saw it fly off to God knows where. So, but initially the news was they were going to bring out the mayor, and so they had to have like security and everything. But it ended up being, I don't know if the mayor couldn't make it or what, but they ended up sending the director of the tourism out there to do it instead. So.
He said, "What's this for? A board game?"
I have a root canal scheduled.
I run a major city. Send her.
Hi, I run sanitation. Welcome to our city.
But yeah, we that gives you kind of an idea. There was some pageantry to it. I'm never a big fan of the pageantry. Like the award ceremony at the end was fine if you like that kind of thing. For me, I can always take it or leave it. But great effort by the organizers to keep things moving on time and well run. So I applaud them, and it'll hopefully be remembered as one of the best World Cups without any major snafus.
I heard a rumor that it was one of the larger, excluding chess, was one of the larger single game events ever. And I'll have to check that out, maybe do a little research. But yeah, I heard that if you take chess away and you just have singular game events, including 40K and all that stuff, where everybody's playing the same game, it was one of the biggest ever. So if that's true, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Yeah. Well, we were since we're here, we were hoping to open up the lines, and if we have anybody that attended that wants to give us, I know TJ was there, and I could see him commenting.
Oh, TJ's here? Awesome. Yeah.
I finally got to meet TJ. I never met him in person before, so it was awesome to meet him.
Very cool.
And but if you were at the event, or if you have questions about it, or if you just want to talk about some crazy thing that's happening in the Blood Bowl world, like vampires all of a sudden.
By the way, I have something to say about vampires.
We totally ignored the vampires the whole time.
I have something to say about vampires and Euro Bowl. So don't let me forget.
Okay, vampires, Euro Bowl. Try to remember that.
Which is happening where, Chris? Greece?
The upcoming Euro Bowl is
the Euro Bowl next year?
The Euro Balls. The Euro Bowl is going to be in Athens, Greece, in probably the first week of October. I'll just say now until we get a caller. So
Phone lines open. 813-618-7099 is the number. I'll be screening phone calls, capturing your name and info, and then bringing you into the show. So if you want to talk Blood Bowl, the line is open. 813-618-7099.
So recently on Fumble,
Who's your
for
money on?
practice,
Who's going to be first? TJ or Barry?
TJ. TJ.
I got my money on Barry. That's my man.
The Euro
I'll say
Bowl
TJ.
proposed rules are on Fumble. And then they're doing a practice thing where anybody can join and play the Euro Bowl rules. Well, the proposed rules have multiple tiers, and vampires are in the last tier with something like 11 skills. And I'm sitting here going, wait a second.
For now.
12, yes, because 1,200 gold, access to star players, including count, and their new positionals.
Yeah.
You're looking at giving pro out to blitzers, runners with movement 8. Everybody's got hypnotic gaze on a 2-up. You can fill out that team with rerolls, a potential big guy, and maybe if you
change.
do
After
4
the spike comes
vampires
out, though.
instead of 6, you do 4 vampires and you grab something like Count Luther. That's the dark horse team. Like, I might take that. That's ridiculously good. So, just no.
I like that you can build them how you want a little bit better now. And the stars, and I don't know, do they get a big guy? I was reading through the thing.
They do.
Yeah, it seems like they get a big guy, so that's like kind of crazy to me.
It's gonna be different.
Be
Hi, I win. I win.
Hello, caller. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Lone Wolf from Colorado.
Our man TJ Jackson from Colorado. Thank you for calling in. What do you got for the folks?
Yeah.
We got Big Benny K. We got Chris. We've got James. We're all here. What you got for us?
Yeah, so I usually call in last, but I heard there were odds as who was going to call first, so I had to be first.
You won me the bet, man. Thank you.
Very good. No, I just want to say, first off, the World Cup, it was a moment I'll never forget, like ever. It was my first time out of the country. I didn't think I was going to go. Once I finally committed to going, things happened in real life. I thought I was going to have to cancel. So just being able to go was amazing. And then to meet Ben, to meet, Chris, meet Woj, Niebuhr, it was so cool. And then all the international friends that I've accumulated over the years, we actually met on the pier, and they spotted me out in the crowd. They've only seen like maybe 2 pictures of me, so for them to spot me out, that was a very emotional time. And so it was. I just had so many positives about that event.
You were on a really winning team too with Mr. Sean Cowley on the syndicate. Can you tell us a little bit about how your tournament went?
Yeah. I was. So it was funny the way that whole thing got brought about. Sean, so last year at Chaos Cup, Sean cornered me at midnight. It was after the Death Bowl event. He's like, all right, TJ. He's like, I know we talk, ever so often, but I've been spectating your rise in this hobby and tabletop, and I think you're one of the best players in North America, and I'd love to have you on my team. And I was just like, I'm flattered, but I don't think I'm ready. Actually, I told him I know I'm not ready. I'm just trying to, iron out some kinks. I'm definitely not ready to go across the country. But he literally would not let me leave. We ended up staying an hour, right? So the event ended at midnight. An hour later, he finally lets me leave. I'm trying to get ready for the biggest tournament of my life at that point, which was Chaos Cup. And he just told me, he said, look, dude, he said, even if you go, 0-9 here, he's like, I still want you on my squad. He said even if he had to pay for it himself, he still wanted me to go. So that kind of touched me. And so I actually I hit him up, I think, in February. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And so I was able to be on his team. That was a team that I felt obligated to be on because of how much he reached out. And so, we ended up getting there, and we ended up playing the first round against a Spanish team. I ended up playing throughout the tournament. I played 3 Skaven teams, 2 Lizardman teams, 2 Dark Elf teams.
The hell, man.
A Tomb King. Yeah, no, that's exactly what I said. A Tomb King team and a Goblin team. So literally one favorable matchup out of the 9. It wasn't the tournament that I expected for myself, but at the same time, all I cared about was how the team did, and the team did great. They definitely made me feel comfortable because those matchups, I'm really playing for ties at best. And so if anything goes wrong, it's really bad. So I didn't have the tournament I wanted. I ended up going 3 wins, 2 ties, and 4 losses. But overall, the team did great. We started, the furthest we got was table number 4 in round 8. So it was a magical time. I was locked in. I was ready. I really wanted to carry because that was why they wanted me on the team. So I felt like I let them down. But they reacted immediately. They were like, no, you haven't let any of us down. The fact that you're on this team scoring us points is what matters. And even when I lost, the rounds were close. So specifically in round 6 or round 5, we ended up playing a French team. They eventually got 3rd place. And I ended up playing the 35th ranked player in the world. He was playing Lizardman, I was playing Lizardman. And we sat down. We had never met or talked, but it was just one of those like respect things. He had over 300 matches, tabletop matches with Lizardman. I had 16. And we both sat down and said how impressed we were with each other. And I was like, I told my teammates, I was like, I'm excited for this. My team was nervous. I was super stoked to play. I was like, I'm going to learn a lot because I want to learn Lizardmen, And so I was like, I'm playing someone that knows Lizardmen. I'm just learning them. And he's like, no, I'm impressed with you. You haven't lost with lizards. I was like, it's not as impressive as it seems, believe me. But, well, we sat down, had a tremendous time. And he is, without doubt, my favorite blood bowler. And I really I left that match so inspired. So I want to, replicate what I did in that match in all of my future matches. So yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time. We got super close. We really wanted to win that, round 8 at table 4 and then be at table 2. But we still, if my information is right, we still made history. We placed the highest of any American team. So
yeah, you guys placed the highest of any American team like ever. What, if I could ask, what was your guys' finish placement?
So we finished 51st.
51st team
out of 372.
Yeah, but dang, like you guys were on table 4 in round 8 of round 9, 8. Which is so. Yeah. And you played one of the winning teams. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was, like I said, I'll never forget it. I'm hooked on international travel now, so I'm already planning for Greece. I got a bunch of invitations to be on people's teams. I'm like, I don't know whose team I'll be on or if I'm going to do the national team or the Open, but I will be there. That much I do know.
We got a question in the comments for you, Robert Eddy, and if I'm right, I mean, it's been months since we've done a show like this, but if I'm right, he's out of North Carolina. He is asking, what did you bring, TJ? So a breakdown of your list.
Okay, yeah. So I brought Lizardmen. So the build was 1150 TV, So I brought a Croxagore, 6 Saurus, and 6 Skinks. So I had a roster of 13, and then I brought 6 block on the Saurus with 2 rerolls. I'll explain really quick just for people that didn't go or know. So the reason why I took the 6 block, I originally had 5 block and a sneaky get, and so I took that to LVO. It did wonders. But then they changed the ruling for sneaky get, so you can no longer move after fouling, and to have a movement 8 skink kind of be stuck there after fouling. I just didn't feel like the value was there anymore, so I ended up going with the 6 block for attrition and just reliability on offense. I went with the 13 players to help with the 1-turn touchdown aspect, which I was able to get off 3. So that was really sick. And then on top of just having numbers, and then if I want to foul, I could foul without having to hesitate. So that was the team, and that was the reasoning behind the team.
I mean, you can't go wrong with 6 block sources. It's a wall of scales to deal with.
Yeah. The strength combined with that much movement, it was awesome to have.
I saw a couple of lizards ended up finishing first in the tournament. And I also saw some weird builds. Like there was a Zote. Somebody brought the Zote. Somebody brought some stars on lizards. So there were some, I don't know how those builds did, but there were some bizarre builds out there for lizards as well. So it's an interesting team.
No, there definitely were. The 35th ranked player, he went 5 block source, 1 tackle source, a chameleon skink, and a apothecary. The French team, he was also playing lizards, my opponent. We played them in round 7. He went 5 block source, 1 guard, an apothecary, and a chameleon. So there were little variations. I didn't see the wacky stuff. I heard of it, but we were so high up. You kind of have, there's only like 1 or 2 ways to go, I think, if you wanted to have sustained success. But with that being said, that's the beautiful thing about our game is that, you have options.
Yeah. Lizards are a great team. I mean, it's cool to see, so I don't know. It's cool. It's cool to see too, because it's such a thematically fun team too. The little guys, the big guys, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
It's a great fun tournament team I found, but a league team, I struggled with it as a league team. The last league I did at Armada Games was Lizards, and I swore to myself I'll never do Lizards in league again.
It's a struggle. Thankfully, so I took him in a fumble league in my buddy Sean Colley's league, and so I was able to get 4 skills. So I put 4 block on the source, and I'm having a great time. But yeah, to start fresh with them is rough.
Are you coming to Chaos Cup?
I can't. It's so close. It was so close to World Cup and then LVO, and so I had to make a tough decision. Plus, work-wise, so I do HVAC, I do construction, and so we always slow down, like from right now until like early January. So I was just like, as much as I want to go, I just can't justify, taking that risk. But I am going next year for sure.
We'll miss you, but yeah, it's probably wise. I know. I'm like, there's so many things I want to do now. Like, I'm like you. This was the first time I've been out of the country, and now that I've done it, I'm like, I want to go to more stuff. So
Yeah,
it's just saving up the money and saving up the time and, balancing work life. Uh, I missed my kid, I missed my family a little bit. It was kind of hard to, yeah, so there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just, pick up and go. I totally get that. Um,
yeah.
you got to make sure you're doing what's right for you. But
I
what do
can.
you guys have out by you? I know that the Las Vegas one was kind of close for y'all,
Yeah,
but not super close. That was
yeah.
still
So
a plane ride for you, right?
yeah, still playing right. The really easy ones for us to get to are the ones in Utah. It's like a 40-minute flight, so we can do that easily. But as far as my next 3 tournaments, we got Skull Cup. That's run by Mike Haley. That's next month. That'll be the 7th. And then we have our Toys for Tots tournament in December, where you buy your re-rolls with gifts for the kids.
That's cool.
And
That's
then, that's one of my favorite ones for sure. That one's actually going to be an all-elf tournament this year, so that'll be exciting.
What a weird
and
thing
then-
that'll be. All elves.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, yes. It'll force a lot of people to finally play agility, which I'm all in for. It's going to be hilarious. It'll be hilarious. And then I got LVO, and I don't know what's going to happen after LVO, but I know Greece is going to happen, and I know I'm going to Chaos Cup next year.
Amen.
That's
I know
cool.
it was a pleasure to actually get to meet you at the tournament. I see you all over Blood Bowl community, and so to put a face to the name and I get to shake hands with, that was really cool. So I appreciate that, man.
No, yeah, no, I appreciate you literally blew me away when you were like, "Oh, dude, please sign." I was just like, "No way."
Yeah, I got a
and
signature on the flag.
Yeah, that happened all tournament. My buddies made fun of me. I could not get from the top, right, so from like table 9 to like, in the middle without getting stopped by people. It was the whole tournament. It was weird. I felt more at home in Spain than I ever have over here in America at a tournament. Like the people there, I had so many people say, it's an honor to meet you. It's an honor to, be here. I was just like, I'm just one person. I'm just a normal dude. But they were like so all in. I was just like, man, I have to do it again. So yeah, like I said, I'm all in for Greece, and then I want to get down to Thread Bowl to play against Glowworm. So I got a personal invitation out there. I'll have to make good on that at some point. But yeah,
I want to do Thread Bowl too because it's a camping trip, and I don't know. I love camping, and yeah, that'd be awesome.
yeah, and it was weird. So our round 4 opponents told us her and her husband signed up their kids for the NAF, and they played in the 7th event there. It was a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old playing 7s at one of the largest events of the year. I was just like,
If you could teach a 4-year-old how to play 7s, I guess I'm going to be teaching. I don't know. When he gets
I
older.
don't know.
I
I
don't
know
know.
my kids.
Dude,
I know their limits.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty young. I don't know, but that's cool.
yeah. I was just like, no way, man. I was like, they take their hobby very serious, and this is what my other point I want to do. I really hope to see the amount of sportsmanship that we saw there in the States. Like people were crying. They were, when that team won 3rd place, not everyone on that squad did well, but they all, it was a squad win. It didn't matter, wins or losses. So I hope to see more of that over here in the States.
I like squad events. I know they're not as
Yeah.
popular here sometimes, but I really do like them because it builds the camaraderie, and you have to kind of strategize with your squad a little bit. And we had that Savannah Bowl a little while back up in Savannah, Georgia, and that was fun to do that. That was 4-person squads, but you had like a point buy system where, if one person took a really good team, someone else on the team had to probably take something that's a little bit lower tier to balance it out. And I like those kind of things. So hopefully we'll see some more of that.
No, it was great. Yeah, actually, I sat down to make my rules for our squad tournament, and I ended up hitting up James. I apologize. I was like, dude, I'm sorry, but it was like when I sat down to make my rules, I found your guys as like a, it's just something fun to compare to. I was like, I would have put all of these teams in the same tier. I was like, James, I'm sorry. Could I please use this for our squad tournament? He's like, yeah, man, go ahead. And I think we only changed one thing. We put halflings in tier 3, but everyone loved it. We had like 2 or 3 vampire teams. We had 2 Nurgle teams. We had Norse. We had 2 Khorne teams. We had Snotlings. We had all the teams that you don't usually see over here, because with 5 tiers, teams were properly supported. And so, yeah, I'm really stoked about next year, about running that. This year we had 14 squads of 2, which was the largest tournament that we've ever had in Colorado. So next year I'm expecting 40 plus. So sky's the limit for squad events here, at least.
That's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, more tournaments is more better, in my opinion, especially all over the United States. So
Yeah,
I think that was funny
definitely.
too, is like everybody thinks that we know each other, like all of the United States people.
Yeah.
They're like, you know this
Yeah.
guy, you know this guy. And I'm like, well, I do, but they live like 3,000 miles away from where I live.
Yeah.
That's got to be a weird concept for them, where they can, take a train and be anywhere within a day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In Europe.
It's so funny, the stereotype that like we don't know geography, and then you talk to a European about America and they don't know that they want to do
Texas
Disneyland.
is bigger than all of you.
They want to do Disneyland and the Alamo in the same day, and it's like, bro, no.
Yes. Yeah. I got a lot of that too. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I did want to say one thing. This is really important to me. I know I've been on the phone for a while. I apologize.
Hey, look, bro, you made it a call-in show. Achievement unlocked.
I know,
Without
I know.
you, it would just be
I
a podcast. So thank you.
You know how I am, though. I don't want to take all the time. But I was so on the plane ride home. I had the Florida Zine, and I was reading, and I didn't know that Pat was Storm Girl.
Oh, there you go.
I spent years looking up to him to the point where I wanted to challenge him to a match. And I was just like, I have so much respect for this guy. I don't think I'm worthy of playing him, even so I literally refused to challenge him to a match. He's the man, dude. I couldn't believe that was the same person.
Now that you know him, you're like, whatever.
No.
We love Pat.
No, I was blown away, man. I was like, no freaking way.
We love Pat. He's the we call him the conscience of Florida Blood Bowl, because he's usually like, we'll come up with some crazy idea, and he'd be like, well,
No,
you might want to rethink that.
Yes.
But he's an amazing
had so much
painter.
I was like,
Crazy painter.
Yeah, he streamed. So he did so many streams. I was like, this dude is a legend. Like, he's brave enough, because this was before I streamed. I was confident in my coaching ability, but he put everything out there. He was streaming all the time. I was just like, man, I want to be just like this guy. And so it was a pleasant surprise to see that was the same guy that I knew and I looked up to.
Wow, That's awesome. I hope he hears that. I hope he sees that because yeah, we love Pat. He gets a lot of crap from us sometimes because he is the most like I don't know what you're gonna say. He's the most reasonable with like some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's like always kind of squashing some of our crazy ideas, but it's for the best.
Thank God.
Yeah, otherwise we probably would be like in a Spanish jail right now. But but,
Oh no, yeah, I believe that 100%. I believe it.
But yeah, he didn't have a great tournament, unfortunately. Him and Old Man Monkey did not have. I don't know what happened. They both kind of ended up getting some bad rolls, I think, and some bad matchups. So
yeah,
kind of unfortunate.
I don't know about you guys, but I used the tournament dice day 1 and day 2. And a lot of that was kind of the sentiment going in because people were afraid of like people bringing their own dice and people from all over the world. So that was the contingent, like to protect ourselves. And so I had that same idea. But by day 3, people were so over it, and everyone knew what was at stake. Like they literally just stopped using them, and that helped me out a ton.
Yeah.
I wish I would have stopped earlier, honestly.
I know exactly what you mean. I required all of my opponents to use the tournament dice to the point where one guy didn't have tournament dice, and he was like, "So I have to use yours?" And I was like, "Yes." And then by the third day, I was like, "You know what? All the luck has run out of these. I'm going to post up my Ron Moss fan club dice." Just done with this.
I did the same. I was like, so in day 2, I'm not exaggerating. I only rolled 6 pals all of day 2. I was like, this is impossible. So I was like, we're at table 9, day 3. I got to pick it up. So I busted out my Safari dice from you guys and went on an absolute tear, dude.
Yeah, I don't know when I switched out. I think it was the second day because I just couldn't. They were all yellow. I just kept mixing them up, and it was taking forever,
Yeah.
So I hate when they're all the same color. So I had to just be like, all right, I'm going to ditch these and mix and match again, and nobody seemed to care. So
Right. Yeah, no, it was more like, okay, we're here on day 3. This is the only day that matters type thing. Let's just play to the best of our abilities and see what happens. So it was weird. It was like you kind of felt the shift in the room because like everyone came to that thought. So it was
nobody ever likes tournament dice. It's like a universal fact. Everybody is always like, yeah, tournament dice didn't roll well for me. You never come off a tournament being like, those tournament dice were great. Like, no.
It's weird. It happens,
yeah, but I would rather
it happens once every 4.
Complaint than the complaint that this person brought these dice and blah blah blah.
No, for sure.
I'm all about it.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to go through the trouble of making them, you make people use them, the only time those dice are going to get rolled is that tournament. And then they're going to go in somebody's pile,
So let's all roll horrible together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But for I'm more lenient.
Funny story about that, people swapping out dice.
I don't know anything about that.
Those Safari Bowl dice that you have, TJ, at that tournament, people kept coming up to me saying, these dice are so horrible. Can I swap them out? By the last round in the second day, people were swapping out bad dice for bad dice that somebody else had traded in. So it was the same dice constantly being recycled, but the look on their face, I'm like, sure, you could swap them out. And they were so happy. And then according to them, their rolls improved. I'm like, well, these are the same bad dice that maybe Ben had before or somebody else had before. It's that mental thing of knowing you got better dice.
No, it's wild because I texted you in Ohio. I was on table 3. Yeah. I used your Safari dice. They went on a tear. I went to table 3, and they also went on a tear. So I got second place there. And so I remembered in my head when I was packing, I was like, no, those Safari dice were really good. If something goes bad at Alicante, I need to pull them out. That's literally what happened.
I'm gonna take credit for that. Those are my bad dice that I exchanged to James back at Safari Bowl. You're welcome.
There you go. I would drink to that.
Thank you.
Everybody has I'm superstitious.
Everybody
about
has a set of those dice. Kristen is
So-
Twickenham
Yeah.
dice.
I'm superstitious,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm going to take the dice that were given to me, and I'm going to make them work. Because if I trade them in, then they're going to work well for somebody else or something. Like, there's good rolls in those dice, and I'm going to get them out eventually. That's
How
my,
long do you
like-
want to wait till those rolls show up?
Yeah,
Right,
that's my
right,
thought. I'm
right.
like, those rolls will
Yeah.
come out when I need them.
Mhm.
Maybe.
I take the same set of dice to every tournament, and it's just always just sitting there in case I need that 3-up to win the game. It's right there ready. Just wait for it.
Dude, yeah. No, I take like 5 sets of block dice. I use the tournament dice because otherwise you're cheating, unless they say you don't have to use them. But no, I especially over in States, I prefer using the tournament dice. I'll bring my block dice because rolling the same. I realized super early on because when I first got on tabletop, I didn't even own a team, so I was, I had to borrow a team, and I had one set of block dice, and I was like, man, these dice just are not doing it. They would go cold, like at least one round. They would always go cold. I was like, I need multiple block dice. So I did that, and it's worked.
Do you match
so many
your
superstitions in Blood Bowl.
Do you
It's
match
a
your block dice?
fact, dude. It's a fact. Huh?
Do you match your block dice to your teams now? That's what I do. I've got enough where I'm like, okay, this is my green and white team. I'm going to use my halfling dice. I match them.
I hope the one day I have that. I'm getting lucky, so I'm winning teams at nearly every raffle event. So eventually, if I stay on this trend, I will have enough to do that.
Listen, I'll trade bad luck dice
I
for
don't know.
winning teams. That's
Right? Yeah.
Do you paint?
It's been a wild ride.
Do
I don't
do-
paint. I have 4 painters that paint for me. I don't know how to paint.
Okay.
he got it like that.
Yeah,
So at least you're
Yeah,
paying.
four-
You're
you
getting
got
them
4
painted. That's
people.
good.
4, yeah.
Because
Got
my
four
thing is like
painters
I can
and
get a
got,
team
like
and I'm
5.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So
I paint for
I
food.
can't paint. I just know how to play the game. So I got those guys who'll paint my teams. I got a buddy who prints my squads for me. So it works.
I have a
LTJ.
friend who was playing the same halfling team for 4 seasons. I got to a point where I just looked at it and
Yeah.
it was unpainted all 4 seasons. So I looked at it and I'm like,
Oh no.
dude,
Zach?
I will do you a favor. I will let you buy me a steak dinner. Yeah, it was Zach. I'll let you buy me a steak dinner if you
Called
let me
it.
paint your halfling team. And he's like, deal. Yep. So I painted his
Wow.
team and enjoyed that
That's-
steak. Yep. It was worth it.
Now we just
Yeah.
got to get John Alberto to paint his rats, and then we'll have done something with our lives.
John Alberto, if you're listening to this, I have called you multiple times. Give me your damn rat team.
Wait,
He will
wait,
paint them
there's a
for you.
Skaven team.
He's got to bring a
Skaven team
painted
that's not
Skaven team to
painted?
Chaos Cup.
We're going
That
to
is
enforce that,
outrageous.
right? We're going to enforce painted teams.
Oh,
Well,
you have
so
to,
here's
yeah,
the
yeah.
thing.
For John Alberto, yes.
Yeah, I would never turn somebody away who wants to play the game, even if it's a U.S. major. But having a painted team counts for something. So if it comes down to tiebreakers and you have a painted team and somebody else doesn't, that's going to be a tiebreaker.
Nice.
I
like
actually
that.
saw some unpainted teams at World Cup, and
Did you?
it's just
Yeah,
not my style. Like
It's
you're bringing-
disappointing, but would you tell somebody, hey, you can't play because you don't? I mean, they could have borrowed a team, but let's just say they didn't have any friends and they're making the effort. They paid the money. They've made the trip. I would never turn somebody away. Would I make them feel a little bit bad? Yeah, I'll guilt them.
Shame.
But
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that we could have some teams. We should do a little bit right before the tournament and make sure everybody's got something, because between Florida Blood Bowl would come together and get that person a painted team to use for that event.
yeah,
There's no,
I should make an announcement this week. But
Without
yeah,
difficulty.
we want to
they can
encourage
borrow-
people, even if they. Yeah, you got
No, I
stuff.
was just-
Everybody's got stuff. I
Yeah,
got
they,
stuff.
they can borrow one without difficulty. Just message, please.
yeah, and the same thing goes for the Open too. It's like between.
I was just
you
going
know,
to
no
say
one
that.
sh-
Yep.
Yeah, no one should need to buy a team for that. We've got so many teams laying around that are painted and everything already, that if you want to go to the Open and you don't have something to play, just let us know. Someone's got something for you.
I have
I
a
love it.
question about that for James. For the Open, it says we can use Teams of Legend. So,
Mhm.
do I have to use Games Workshop? I have to use Games Workshop if I want to use Chaos Dwarfs, correct?
Yeah, the bottom line is no matter what you're doing, you're using Games Workshop miniatures.
But they
So
can be
if it's
conversions, right?
sure. And there's plenty of. I was just looking at a vampire team that somebody made from. I'm getting into Underworlds, and the vampire. They don't call them to warband for that. They converted that team to a Blood Bowl team, and my God, are those sculpts amazing!
Oh wow.
So I just put together Underworld's warband tonight, and holy crap! Like it would make an amazing Chaos or Chaos Pact. Like there's just 3 miniatures in it, but the detail, they're just fantastic. So any of those things could easily be converted to Blood Bowl. But good question.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'll be excited to see what kind of stuff people bring when it is required that they're painting. Because I mean, at that event, you've got to bring. They won't let you run unpainted miniatures at a GW event, right? They got to be battle ready.
Again, yes, they should be battle ready. I would not ever turn anybody away if they paid the money for the ticket and they're willing to make the time to come out and do it. Yes, I will encourage you when I see your unpainted team that, hey, man, the hobby side of it's not for everybody, but give it a try. Slap some paint on there. If not, ask a friend. If not, if you got the money, pay a commission painter like Josh Wojcik, who's always up for some commission work. Make the effort. If anything, it opens a dialogue for me to get them into the hobby side of it. But I will not turn somebody away from a game they want to play. Maybe it's their first time coming to a tournament, and if I told them no, they'd probably never pick up those miniatures again.
No, and I agree
Right,
with that. I know there's a lot of contention with the painting and versus not painting, but I think I even did something. It was really for Veronica because I needed something for like to convert her orcs to black orcs one time. So I just took 2 guys, 2 big uns, and I just dry brushed them with dark green, threw an ink over them, painted their eyes and teeth. And they look kind of weird, but like they look kind of cool too. So it's like really, you can put just a tiny bit of effort in and it makes it so much better than just gray or whatever color plastic.
With the contrast paints from GW and the speed paints from Army Painter, it's so easy to throw 3 colors on a miniature and make it look like 6 or 7. If you don't have paints and don't have the money to invest in it, honestly, go to your local FLGS or go to your local GW game store, and they have paints in the store that they will let you use. Some there's a charge for, other ones I've seen there's not, because believe me when I tell you, when I travel for work, I would hit up every game store that I could possibly hit up, and I've seen it all. So, don't be afraid to pick up a brush and just slap some paint on something. No one's going to judge you and be like, well, those are atrocious. No one gives a crap. People care more about unpainted miniatures than ones that just have, the 3 primary colors on it.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion,
Yeah.
for what it's worth.
One last thing, James. So I saw you doing that event at the Open where you guys were teaching people how to play the game.
At Gen Con. Yeah, we did a sealed box team event.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's a great way to get people into the game. They show up. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I was gonna say next year, if you want some help, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, they don't use volunteers, Games Workshop, at all. You'd have to become an employee. It's a little bit of a process.
Okay.
But we have. I appreciate the offer, but I have people stop by there all the time. Just kind of like, I had Tombstone Frank from Jacksonville, Sean Calley when he was there. He actually played in one of my tournaments, and then he played in Mike Muller's tournament. Even if they just had like a half an hour to kill, they were just kind of walking up and down the line, like what I do, and just answering questions and giving people advice and just kind of, but it wasn't, they weren't there for like a 2-hour round or all day, but they just kind of stopped by to lend a hand or, make sure I had a bathroom break, or because everything runs concurrently. So like literally I would have those days where we would start at 9 o'clock in the morning and I wouldn't finish until 7 o'clock, and I'm eating while I'm running the event. But for those who don't know, Gen Con does this specifically, and we might be doing this at PAX Unplugged in December, maybe, where, I mean, a regular Blood Bowl team is $50. So for this, you pay $60 or 65, whatever it is, and you get a Blood Bowl team that's already down and play and learn the core mechanics of the game and learn as much as you can, before you walk
you
away
say
from the table.
assembled?
So it's a good way to get into the game doing stuff like that. Yeah.
You say it was a
Yeah, they're assembled.
for an
I spent Yeah, and primed. So it took me months to do all that. We had 100 Blood Bowl teams that had to be done for Gen Con. So it was it's a good
That's
event
where you
though.
need your
Like
volunteers,
we were sold
assembling
out
and
last year
priming
and this year.
models.
For the Open
Yeah, we
this
have-
year.
Yep.
For the Open this year, did we have to order those special pitches, or are those included?
So last year they were given out as part of the swag. This year they were pre-orders when the US Open dates were announced. So they were made to order. So whatever was ordered is kind of like what's already sold. There won't be any extras left. So next year, the pitches should be available. So when the US Open dates are announced and go up for pre-order, I'll make sure everybody knows, because I'll tell you what, those pitches were pretty popular. Every time we had an event, people were like, "Can I buy them?" And I'm like, "Yeah, only in the beginning though, not now." And we had people just walking by who weren't there for Blood Bowl because they're there for 40K, they're there for Age of Sigmar or Kill Team or whatever else, and they do play Blood Bowl, but it's not their main game, and they wanted to buy them and they weren't able to. But you'll hear it first. I'm pushing for next year for the swag to be a limited edition Games Workshop US Open set of Blood Bowl cube dice. So there's a good chance that we're going to have that at the 3 or 4 events next year. And the other big thing that we're trying to do is in November is the Grand Narrative event in Atlanta at the end of the year, which brings all the Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, and 40K players who won their events. I think they get like free tickets to come to the to the Grand Narrative. I'd like to see Blood Bowl be part of the Grand Narrative, where the winners of the Blood Bowl tournaments who placed get a free ride to come to wherever it's going to be at the end of the year to come and participate in that event. Every time we do one of these US Open events, it keeps growing, and I think Tampa is going to be the biggest one yet. I think we're going to have 40 plus coaches, maybe 50. And listening to everybody talk about World Cup, it's like small potatoes, but everything's got to start somewhere. So if we ever, whether we're talking about a US Open event or the NAF Major or a Moracle Cup or whatever it is, if the US is ever going to have a chance at getting a successful World Cup bid, I feel like we got to start getting those numbers up. Like we got to break 500 coaches at an event in the US before I think we're going to be considered for something like that. That's just my opinion. And I know I'm getting off on a tangent here.
No, I agree with you. And I think we had a lot of people come up to us and be like, when is United States going to have World Cup? And we're like, yeah, it's sometime in the future. We have to unify and we have to build our community a little bit. And we're in the middle of building the community, which is great. But yeah, we have a little ways to go,
Well, I'm 99.9% certain that there will be a U.S. bid for the next World Cup. Whether or not we get it, it's still going to be good experience going through the process of doing it.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. No, I agree. We were actually, our squad was actually drawing up a game plan for that in case we got it. We were just tossing around ideas. So yeah, no, we want it for sure.
Well, time will tell. It's a win-win. If we get it, it's great. If we don't, then we get to travel somewhere cool. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And we just have to put some of the rivalry aside. I think that, that we have some fun. They're healthy rivalry, obviously, but, we just have to kind of come together and say, we're going to do it. And it's going to be this location, and we're going to, kind of all come together no matter what the location is, whether we're going here, there, or anywhere, and unify as United States to put on the best event we can. because the
Yeah,
Spaniards
definitely.
really came out. They had
Yeah.
like 600 coaches that they had, you
Wow.
know. So it's nuts. They just came out and support. You can't have an event where the locals don't come out. You know, you got to have them come.
Right.
And they really did a good job of that. So if we ever did it here, we'd have to have, 600, 700 people come out from the United States, which we could do, but it would be a workup.
But it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, TJ, thank you so much for calling in, making it a call-in show. We appreciate the time spent with you. It sounds like a trip out of the country isn't as dangerous as I thought. I know last time you and I talked, I shared I'm scared to leave the country, so you've proven they'll let you back in.
Right.
They'll let us back in.
No. Thanks a lot, guys.
You got to ask
Have a good night.
nicely.
Thanks,
Yes,
TJ.
take care.
Such good people.
Thanks, TJ.
It's always good to hear from TJ. And like I said, it was cool to meet him too, just
Voice actor Mike in the chat. He asked, what if somebody forgets a team? You can see that happening, whether it's US Open or Chaos Cup. If somebody forgets a team, just reach out to the tournament organizer, which in both of those instances is me, and let me know, and I will find you a team. I mean, I've seen people pack their team in their luggage. It happened to one of our Canadian friends, Lair, last year, and he didn't have a team, and somebody found him one. I think Jeff found him one. So we'll make sure that happens. We don't want to see somebody not be able to play because they didn't get their team or they lost it.
especially here in Florida. I mean, everybody's got spare teams, and they would love to bring them out and show them off.
Oh God, yeah.
There are times where I've brought multiple teams to a tournament, not even to play the other one, but just in case something like that happens. So yeah, some of us live close enough where it's not even a thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when it's here in Tampa. I'm certain that James can just put out the call, put the bat signal up, and somebody will show up with a team.
Yeah. Never let not having the team stop you from playing the team, especially at a tournament in Florida, because you just put it out there and someone will bring it for you.
100%.
More than happy to, because like we said, we want our toys to be played with, and that's really what we have them for. So we'd love to share.
All right, fellas.
Well, let me throw a shout out here.
618-7099 is the number if you want to interrupt and talk about Blood Bowl and what you got going on. We've got about 30 minutes left in the show, so you get one chance to get a call in, I'm sure. What you got there, James?
I was going to say, let me throw out there the next Florida Blood Bowl tournament is going to be John Lackey's Bilge Rat Bowl in Gainesville. It's kind of a late birthday type style match for him. He's got some teams to give away from Punga that we're 3D printing, our good friend John Rivers. That event, I think, is this coming Saturday, if I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just...
Yep. Garrett, I can confirm.
Are you going to that event?
Oh, yeah. 100% confirm.
Okay.
So John is one of our more competitive players, and he's a great player. And he built a pretty cool rule set, and he took out stars, and he built it in a way that I could see, the kind of rules that he likes to play, which is really interesting. And one of the things I like about it is that you can stack skills with no penalty. I'm playing halflings, so we're going to see how that works with no stars. I took some guard block trees, and I've got a dodge, or I've got a block sidestep runner. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
There is a mechanic where at the start of every turn, so yours and your opponent's, you roll a d6, and on evens, every single miniature switches one way by one square, and on odds, it goes the other way. So it's like a rocking ship. Now, I can see that driving a lot of the attention to the center, which is going to benefit bash teams. But I can also see me having my guys like 3 squares from one side and thinking they're safe, and then having bad luck just surf all of my chaos doors. just completely gone. So we'll see how it works out.
I think it's 4 rounds too, right?
I don't know.
I think it is.
I'm looking now. Yeah, it's at
I lo-
Punk Outer Games this Saturday. And actually, let's just throw out a happy birthday, Saul John Lackey. Today is actually his birthday.
Yay. I also like
Woo.
how he did the raffle tickets, where it's a combination of winners get a better chance, but everybody still has a chance. Where if you start off with, I think, 3 raffle tickets, don't quote me on this, but when you win a game, you take one from your opponent. So at the end, or whenever they raffle stuff off, the more you win, the greater chance you have of winning, but everybody still has a chance. So it's nice for both.
That is cool.
It's John Lackey's birthday. Is that what it is?
I like that. And it is, and it is 4 rounds.
Go short it. It's your birthday.
Go, Saul.
It was under 9 seconds. We're not going to
Yeah.
get copyright struck.
Hey, I'm smart.
So
that'll
after
be
Bill
fun.
Drat, I'm just going to run down the list of. I get this question at least 2 times a week for people wanting to visit Florida. They're like, "Hey, man, in April of 2024, what tournament do you have?" I love that people just assume that we have tournaments from now until the end of time. I mean, we have a reputation, but we don't book
good.
that far in advance. But yeah, if you let us know you're coming to Florida, there's a very good chance that we could put on a tournament for you. We've done it before with Brian too. We've done it before for a couple of other coaches as well.
I told
But
a
if you look-
Barcelona guy that. I said, if you come here, he's like, I'm coming to Florida. And I said, let us know. We'll throw a tournament for you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look under the Facebook page under events, you will see all of the Florida Blood Bowl tournaments and Voodoo tournaments. And for those who don't know, Voodoo is the NAF tournament series that includes states that are around Florida. Actually, Florida is a part of the Voodoo tournament series. It is not a Florida thing. It is a NAF thing. But Florida just runs so many events that people just automatically assume that Voodoo is a Florida thing, and it is not. So we have other states like Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, and there's always one that I forget.
Mississippi.
Florida.
Alabama,
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
How could I forget Mississippi, man? They are
Yeah. Kind of a big deal.
they are blown up with they have some great tournament organizers there. They have some great tournament at the Nicolas Cage events, which have become a staple for them. God, I wish we had
Those
a
dice
bullet
are
train,
great.
like instead of going from Orlando to Miami, that take us to Mississippi, because I would go every weekend. So Robert Eddy asked South Carolina. They're not Voodoo. They might be Beast, which is the Northeast NAF tournament series, if I had to guess. But yeah, we have Bill Drat Bash coming up on September 23rd. The GWS Open event coming up October 13th, which is going to be a Friday the 13th event. So I'm going to have to do something fun for the Sevens Icebreaker that night. That'll be the 13th, and then the main event is the 14th and 15th. It's a 2-day 6-round event, which somebody threw out there that apparently Florida has had the most 2-day events in the U.S. So we've had a lot.
And after that,
let's see.
Chaos Cup.
Yeah, well, there's more actually outside of Florida. There's the Right Stuff, Howl at the Moon. That's an event running in Alabama, I'm pretty sure. Then there's Underworld Cup, even though it's not Florida, not Voodoo. You know, we encourage everybody to share their events on Florida Blood Bowl, because we have traveling coaches who like to just go international or hop on a plane. And we encourage everybody to travel outside of Florida to attend other people's tournament events. So we have Underworld Cup, which another Saul, this one being the OG Saul, running that, and that's in Michigan. Then Chaos Cup Sevens on November 3rd, Friday night. That's being run by Sean Calley. We're keeping up with tradition of having somebody else run the Friday night icebreaker event outside of the hosting team. And then Chaos Cup Saturday, November 4th and 5th. Then we have Ancient City Barrel Bash, which is the 5th one that Clay has run in Jacksonville. It's going to be at Veterans United, which is drinking beer all day and playing Blood Bowls is a thing, and that's a great place to do it.
Thing.
And then I'll just name a few other ones. Beginning of December, we have Get Your Fun On Krampus, the fight before Christmas that I think I'm going to be running. Then we have Ben's Kobold Cup 3, King Torg's All Hail King Torg's Contraptions, January 6th, which is at one of our favorite places in Florida to play. Ben, you want to spend a couple minutes just talking about that?
Yeah, no, it looks like Chris was about to say something. What do you got?
No. Go ahead. I think I know where it's at.
Yeah, it's at the Nine States Brewery here, and yes, he likes that.
I love that place.
It's such a cool. It's they got some really Korean barbecue. The family that runs it is of Korean heritage, so they have some awesome food. They have awesome beer. It's in the heart of Inverness, Florida, which isn't a big town, but there's little food areas nearby. There's ice cream. There's all sorts of stuff. So it's in our backyard. So we like to have people here once a year for Kobold Cup, and the tournament itself is very wacky. You look at the rules and they're just goofy as hell, but that's part of the charm. So we hope to get a few more people. I'm going to put out a call for signups soon. We had to postpone it because of basically just because of my own, I don't know, life and stuff. I just had to postpone it when it was originally scheduled. So we rescheduled it for January, and we're going to hope for the best and get some people. But talking about tournaments, I'm thrilled to get like 20 people. That's like, I know that we're talking World Cups, so we're talking about Opens and all these things, and Chaos Cup, and it's like, some of these tournaments, they're not really meant to be huge. They're just like, if we get 20 people there, I will be overjoyed, and that's about as many as we need. So
The bottom line is to just keep growing the community and keep getting people to come out and play.
absolutely.
So whether we get 12 or 20 or 50, it's all Nuffle's work, which is what we want to do.
Absolutely.
The last two events I'm going to mention really quick are big ones, maybe not in scope, but in terms of what they're trying to do. One is the first Blood Bowl cruise, Cornwall 7 Seas Blood Bowl tournament run by Don Morgan. So this is a Blood Bowl and a cruise. So it's family friendly. Bring your wife, bring your kids, bring your girlfriend, bring your mistress, whatever you got, I guess. But yeah, there's going to be days where you're playing Blood Bowl on the boat. There's going to be days where you're going out to port and enjoying, wherever you're stopping. But that's going to be something of a first, and I'm curious to see how it's all going to turn out. But it should be a lot of fun. And the last one I'm going to mention, speaking of squads, is we just found out this week that the Destination Blood Bowl event for 2024 is going to be New Orleans. And the rule set should be coming out this week for that. And that's going to be a squad event. So I think it's going to be 3 coaches per squad. And we're working on the swag, working on the rule set. But already there's going to be coaches coming from New Orleans, which we've been trying to get involved in Blood Bowl on the tournament scene for a while. There's going to be coaches coming from Texas. There's going to be coaches coming from Florida, Mississippi. It's already shaping up to be a bigger event than what Safari Bowl in Savannah was last year, and that's the goal. And if this goes well and we keep doing it, in my head, I was planning on Tennessee being the location for 2025. And there's a few TOs out there like Roscoe Piercy and our good friend Ken, who's a friend of Jeff's, who we went out and met before to get the Chaos Cup stuff. There's a lot of good opportunities for Blood Bowl in Tennessee. So I really would be pushing for that for 2025. And for me, I just wanted to hit the voodoo states to get our guys to go out and play more.
Little Jackson, Mississippi. Little Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Mississippi may want to have one of these as well. And there's so many different places in Mississippi that would be a great place for a big tournament.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
It's cool because we've kind of dominated the voodoo scene for a while, and it's nice to kind of grow. It's giving back. It's the least we can do to try to go out and foster some more activity in those states because we want more people.
Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi are all blowing up.
Yeah,
I think Tennessee is going to be on the verge next year, and who knows if we get this event in Louisiana, New Orleans. I would love to see more events in Louisiana.
Well, it was funny because I met a lot of the Georgia guys. I went to Giga Bowl last year, and they
what a
were
great game store.
Yeah, I love that store. I still I want to go.
Gigabytes is awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool. And I still have like a couple of like they do coins if you win
Yeah.
like money, they give you oh, it's so cool. But anyway, I met a lot of the guys there. They're awesome guys, but they were still kind of getting their feet wet with the game. And then they bring a squad to Savannah Bowl, not like, even a year later, and they're just really wrecking. I think they ended up being the best stunty team. Or not stunt, whatever we had, challenger team. And I was like, there you go. They're developing and they've got their own crew, and it's really cool to see that. And hopefully, I think with the new rules being a little bit more, not that the new rules are easier, but they're all in one place now. I was talking to somebody the other day about that, where 2016, there was you needed to have the almanac and you needed to have the rule book and you needed to have all these different things. And so far, 2020 has been pretty good about all you really need is the core rule book. And it's good to have the spike for the team that you're going to play, but as long as you can look it up somewhere, it's not that necessary. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
BB roster goes a long way towards explaining most of the things that you need for your team. All the star players are available, all the skills, and like if you're not using BB roster, well, one, if you're coming to Chaos Cup, you should be using BB roster. But if you're not familiar with it, check it out, because whether it's leagues or tournaments, they even have Gutter Bowl on there now. So they have Dungeon Bowl, they have Gutter Bowl. Yeah, it's a great resource. It's what was the old thing that we used to use? Army Builder or something like that.
Yeah, Army Builder.
Yeah,
years ago. This is like the newest, latest, and greatest, online team builder. Yeah, like Chris is gesturing there. Chef's kiss. It's a halfling chef's kiss. I just stole your rerolls. It's fantastic utility to have.
The other one is what is it? It's Murda.
Oh yeah,
for the
rules
database. Yeah, the rules and stuff are all on those sites. I can never remember them because they're all this weird like .ir and crap, whatever. I don't know, but they're great.
But I use that all the time, because you can look anything up, and then I like Fumble too because you can look up the rosters. I always use Fumble's website for looking up rosters and doing math and stuff like that. If I just need to, check the price of what a player is or something like that. So.
Well, we covered a lot.
We did. And
2 hours flies by.
It does.
If anybody else out there wants to call in, you got 10 minutes left.
But we had a blast traveling. Just makes us want to plan for more stuff in the future. I'm excited for Chaos Cup. It's going to be awesome to see all the people that show up to that.
Yeah, we have like multiple Chaos Cup champions showing up. I think there's going to be like 4. It's crazy. Yeah. And it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of people, 220 coaches, right?
I think we're sitting at about, between 220 and 230.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a call coming in.
Hey, Barry.
Let's go with it. Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Carlos. I'm calling from Melbourne. I'm a long-time caller, first-time listener.
Long-time caller, first-time listener?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Carlos. From Melbourne?
Hey, what's up? From
it's
Melbourne,
Coach Gonzo.
Florida.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's right.
There we go.
Coach Gonzo, who runs
the
Get Your Fun on Blood Bowl League.
Yep. Such as it is. So I'm looking forward to Chaos Cup and looking forward to the GW in Tampa. I'm also looking forward to New Orleans. But I was wondering if any of you guys have experience running a sevens league.
League or tourney?
League.
I can't seem to get anyone to bite on a league, at least here in my local shop.
You know what it is? You know what it is for me? Because I would play in a sevens league easy, but there's one thing that's throwing me off, and that's the skills and how you get the skills after the games and how your guys like leave the team to be professionals. I'm like, what if I want a 4 skill guy? Well, come on.
Yeah, I was fiddling around with tour play, and
you
I saw
can
that
house
can
rule
toggle
that
out of
stuff.
But to SPPs and stuff like that, just as if you were running a regular league. But I was wondering if anyone had any luck running a sevens league or not. But I'm guessing none of you have really made that happen, right?
We ran a tiny little thing during COVID, and we only made it about 4 rounds through. But we incorporated some stuff to kind of mitigate that. So we did, I had these loyalty tokens so that if your player decided to leave, you could burn a loyalty token and keep them. I don't know if that helped or hurt. We didn't play enough to really understand, but you got one based on like your tier. So tier 1 team got 1, a tier 2 team got 2. And that was kind of to just so you wouldn't lose something that was really vital to your team after they leveled up once or twice. But aside from that, yeah, I don't know. You know, the random skills and they have to be skilled evenly, right? Was that the new rule?
I think that I can't remember how the Deathstone had that set up where they had to be skilled evenly. I don't remember that. I think it was it was just a random player, or you can nominate a player. Those were the 2 choices. So if it's random, I guess anybody could be it, and if it's nominated, I guess there could be a rule about evenly. But yeah, so like I was just wondering if anyone had done that or whatever. So that's cool. But
I'd
yeah,
play it.
I'm really excited about. Well, if I start one, I'll let you know. So looking forward to the one in Tampa coming up real soon. And I was wondering if the vampires, the new vampire roster, will be available to play when that tournament comes up.
Yeah, as long as we have
pre-orders
rules
are just
for them.
starting on that, right?
They'll pre-order next week and
so
they'll
it should
release
be
the week after.
Right. So it'll be out for then, but will be legal for the tournament?
I think it should be, right?
NAF usually lets it be up to the TOs.
But since
So
it's a,
if you're asking, I say yes.
We got it recorded now.
Now, will that be the same way?
The biggest part is just I'm having some lag, some audio issues. The biggest part is having a team. That's all. So if the rules come out a week before the US Open, you could play it. You just got to have some kind of GW-based proxy team or the metal vampire team, or bring your plastic new vampire teams that are base coded and have maybe 1 or 2. I don't care. But as long as they're a GW team, you're fine.
Dark elves and humans mixed together kind of makes a good vampire team.
Well, actually,
as long as everything's labeled.
I was thinking of bringing Luthor, Count Luthor. So.
Yeah, Luthor is crazy now. He
That'd
gets
be
you
fun.
a reroll if he scores, right?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Well, I'm wondering what they're going to cost him, because he used to be a 300K vampire, and if things stay the way they are, where the stars are slightly cheaper, I'd love to see him at 240.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pay in for him at 280. So. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. I enjoyed the show. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gonzo. We'll see you soon, man.
Yep. See you.
Appreciate the call.
Now, my concern, James, is the availability of the vampire roster for Chaos Cup, because with so little time between its release and Chaos Cup, having that team show up could either be really bad or really good, but I don't see it being just normal. Like with Euro Bowl, the Norse roster released in between the end of signups and the tournament, and so they kept the old Norse roster for that tournament, even though the new Norse roster was out. What do you think about that with Vampires and Chaos Cup?
They would still end up being a tier 2 team. I don't see them being tier 1. I think it would require several months worth of matches in order to see if it would require it to be re-tiered to tier. I just don't see that happening. They're a Negatrait team. I mean, and that could change with the rules. But like I said, if the rules came out, I would run the new rule set. The way the NAF has always done it is if something comes out like an FAQ or a new team, it's the TO's discretion whether or not they're going to allow for it. And I'll be honest, man, if you're coming out and you're a competitive coach and you're going to decide to run vampires, more than likely you're going to it's gonna be a rough go for the weekend because I don't know, unless you get really lucky or you're really good or your dice are really hot. I just don't see Vampires being in the top 5 team for something like Chaos Cup.
Maybe it would be
You
cool
never
to see
know.
it. I mean, I think they're unpredictable like ogres. Like ogres are great sometimes, and then they're just absolutely trash other times. But
And when have you ever seen an ogre team in the top 10, like in a
yeah,
major tournament?
Right.
yeah,
I've heard some rumors that I'm not going to go into too much detail here for fear of, outing sources, but I've heard some rumors about the new team's makeup, and you're right, they're a negative team. That's it. That's all.
they seem
Leave it
good
at that.
though. You just even based on what is out in the
I-
press release. They're gonna have a runner, a thrower.
They're
a
playable. It
blitzer,
looks
and a
playable
big-
now.
and a
I
big
think
guy.
they're going to be good. I think they're going to be good.
Their rerolls will probably still be pretty expensive. Their pieces are all pretty expensive, so that's where it's like trying to run a star with them might be rough. Even running the big guy might be rough because I don't know. Vampires are always kind of expensive. So
Well, you've already got
Colorado's
that.
rumor mill says hearing that Vampires are incredibly strong and will need to be re-tiered to tier 1.
From
There are
what I've
no
heard,
tier 1.
from what I've heard, I would not be surprised if that was the case in 6 months. But then again, I'm not ready to say that just now.
Well, it won't be 6 months when the spike comes out. It's going to tell you what tier they belong in.
I don't think they'll be tiered at tier 1. I think that the NIF will make a decision at some point, and maybe
An
based
FAQ?
on past sentiment of the fact that they are still a negative team and that we remember them for years as being this really bad team. I think that'll affect people's decision, but I think they get a lot better in this edition, a lot better.
it
Well,
depends
for
on how
things like
Bloodlust works too. Like I don't know how it works yet exactly. So if it works better than it did in 2016, that'll be a big difference.
I think it's going to be better.
If you can feed on the thrall anytime, like at the beginning, the end, or whatever, that'll be a difference as to whether it's just at the end. Because
There's 2 other things to remember. One, when we're talking about GW events, it goes by the match play style. So whatever they're published at is what they're going to be tiered for a GW event. For NAF, it goes one of 2 ways. They will put out their recommended tiering for that team, but as you can see with all the different tournaments and tournament organizers out there, they re-tier teams based off of what they think, based off of play data. So there are some events like what was the World Cup? It went down to a tier 4 teams. I've seen some run tier 5.
Yeah.
Do I think Vampires are going to be a tier 5 or 4 team or a 3 team? No, I don't think so. But will there be a Negatrait tier 1 team out there? I mean, they would have to be so amazing. But we'll see. And I would love for them to come out in time for US Open so that this way someone like, Gonzo could run them and we get some feedback, or some other coaches run them. And then we get some feedback and then, then we'll find out before Chaos Cup. But yes, either way, if the spike is out, then I will certainly allow it for either one of those events.
Okay.
I'm curious about them because I think they will be good. Me and my friend, when we first picked up Blood Bowl, we looked at all the teams and he picked Vampires and I picked Chaos. And I was like, we were like very convinced that these were the 2 best teams in Blood Bowl just by reading, and then we started playing a little bit and we're like, okay, now, I understand. It took us a little bit of time. So I think paper will lie to you and teams look good on paper, but anything can happen,
Then you found gutter runners and word dancers and never
Yeah,
looked
then we're
back.
like, oh, wow, Skaven are really good. Well, 2 strength sucks, like.
Well, to be fair, in Living Rulebook 6 at 2 million value, you're not wrong, Ben. You're not wrong.
That was what we started with. We started with like Living Rulebook, like
Living
4 or 5.
Rulebook 6. I haven't heard that since the early days.
I miss it.
I still have a printed like binder. Up
You know
on
what?
my shelf.
I was so happy to see Tom Anders get the recognition that man deserves.
Yeah.
He got an award. He got, the recognition. I think that's fantastic, and I'm glad they did that. between him and Old Man Monkey, they're just certain people, in the Blood Bowl community that, yeah, they deserve a lot of respect and appreciation. And those two guys are definitely on my list.
Old Man Monkey's a celebrity over there, man.
I
It's
know.
so funny to see that. I mean, not that he's not a respected guy in our community, but just people coming up to him and just like he's a celebrity to them.
Oh,
And
you couldn't keep him in the group. He'd just be pulled off just in random directions all the time. It was impossible. God. Yeah, he'd always be off with somebody talking. He's very well respected over there. And
Well, I
here.
heard Florida Blood Bowl was pretty well received over there. Like a lot of reputations preceded you guys.
Oh
Yeah.
man, the welcome we got. I talked to the organizers on the at the opening ceremony. I walked up to him to ask where the beer was, and they were like, they saw the back of my jersey. I was wearing my Florida Blood Bowl jersey, and they're like, "Oh, you're Florida man. You did the video," and I was like, "Yes, I did. Thank you very much." And they said that it was they really liked that. And then we were at the tournament. I'd just be walking down to go outside or come back to the table. But just walking everywhere, there'd just be groups. There'd be 6 Italians that would just walk past me and be like, "Florida man." Like, yeah. We had, by the way, I'm not ashamed to say this. we had the best jerseys there. Sorry, everybody. We did. I had so many people come up and ask for jersey exchanges. There were some good ones. There were some good ones, but ours were tier 1.
Nice. There were some good ones I saw in the pictures. And by the way, talk about giving credit where credit is due. Your wife did an awesome job of reporting activity. So kudos to her, man. She did a great job.
I'll let her know. Yeah, she came with the intention of
obviously
documenting. Go ahead.
Well, she succeeded. She did a great job.
Yeah,
And
she
supporting you
loves
along
she
the
loves
way. I mean,
doing
that's
it.
That's a big thing.
She loves doing it, taking the pictures, and she did an amazing job. Yeah, it's all there. If you're friends with me on Facebook, I'm tagged in everything, so you can see it. If you're not friends with me, there's a reason for that. So sorry about your luck. I'm just kidding. But all the pictures are available, so you can all see them. Yeah, it was great job.
Yeah. And she put together some highlight reels from the days that we, which I really liked those. Those were cool. From the days that we played and things like that.
Her big thing is the handshake at the end. She really enjoys getting that shot. So when she walks around, she'll look at the turn markers to find out how close it is to the end. And then she'll sit there at the end of the table with her phone on the camera side and just ready for it. And she captures it, man. Like some of them last for 1 second and she's got it like immediately.
There were a couple times when she was hanging out. I was like, what is she waiting for? I'm kind of trying to think about it, but I'm like, then I'm realizing it's about the end of the game. I'm like, yeah, she was perched and ready to take those shots. So that was cool. We got some great shots, and I'm really bad about that. I'm really bad about remembering to take pictures and things like that. So it's nice to have somebody.
That's why I don't like playing in my own tournaments. I like to take the time to do that while I'm running a tournament, to take pictures, put them in the community, put them on the Florida Blood Bowl page. All that stuff's really important to me. Now I know Chaos Cup is no World Cup, but it's also going to be the biggest event in Florida and the biggest event in current U.S. history. So I have a friend who is a professional photographer, and I'm considering paying her to come out and, capture all of these epic moments that are sure to happen throughout Chaos Cup. And I was toying with the idea of putting it together in a coffee table book for after the event and making them available to people to commemorate the occasion. So it's something that it's on the table, pun intended, that we're talking about. But either way, I'm seriously considering having her come out to kind of just capture the event as it is, and the teams and the coaches, not just, big giant shots of everything, but pictures of the coaches, pictures of the matches, pictures of the teams, the painting contest, all that stuff.
It's a good idea. Yeah. I think everyone out there, you should do yourself a favor when you do a tournament and get a selfie with your opponent. And then
Sure.
the group picture at the end too. But it really helped me because I always forget. I'm like, who the hell did I play, and like when did I play them, and in what order? And having the pictures, just kind of helped because I was like, oh yeah, it all comes back when I see the person. I'm like, yeah, that was a good game. We played this way and that kind of stuff. But if you don't take a couple of pictures, the whole thing's kind of just a blur. 9 rounds goes by faster than you think.
Oh, amen.
Where can the
That's
folks
always
at
been
home
one of-
find the pictures?
Florida Blood Bowl has a lot of the pictures, but I think Chris, you said your wife posted all hers on her personal Facebook page.
Unfortunately, she posted all of them on her page and then tagged me in them, so people that are friends with me can see them. But there's hundreds on there, and I don't feel like retagging them, so I don't know. I don't know what to say.
So the answer is a friend request to Florida Man. Then you can see them.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. I might post a few on my page, maybe on YouTube, a couple of my channels. There's potential for that, and some of the like highlight reels I might tag Florida Blood Bowl in or something. So,
all right,
Nice.
gentlemen, close this out.
Yeah, well, thank you all for listening to us tonight. Thank you for those who called in and talked with us. Thank you for those who played with us in Spain and who will play with us in the near future in upcoming tournaments. For those of you who are listening in today after the fact, make sure to give us a call next time and pick up a copy of the zine. We talk about that. If you are looking to share some content, and we talked about tournaments and things like that before, there is always a list of the tournaments in the zine. There's a list of the Florida leagues, and we're always looking for content. And whether it's photos, images, drawings, or articles, or whatever you want to share, give us a holler. We'd love to have it. So,
And we don't put that out digitally. That gets printed by Ben and myself. And if you want a copy, they're usually, in our stash at upcoming tournaments. But even if you just direct message one of us, I don't mind putting a stamp on it and sending it out your way. We don't ask any money for it. We just want to get the word out and, spread the good love around. So just ask and we'll send one out to you.
absolutely.
I love how it's not available online.
Carlos,
It
thanks
is
for
paper
doing this
only.
for us.
My pleasure.
Paper
I love
only.
this community. I love you. I love you guys. I love you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Well,
Thanks,
folks,
Florida Man. Thanks, Norm Breeder.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you all for listening. We will catch you all on the next one. It's been a good one. Good night, everybody.
See you later.
Watching the Beans and Dice podcast.
Peace out.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.